Built in the 1860s, the Transcontinental Railroad was one of the most ambitious construction projects in U.S. history. For it to be completed, more than 10,000 Chinese laborers had to carve out tunnels and lay a track bed through the treacherous Sierra Nevada mountains.
They were looked down upon, and yet over time, they received the begrudging respect of the men who supervised the construction of the Central Pacific Railroad. And there are many accounts in newspapers where they're quoted saying they wouldn't trade the Chinese workforce for any other workforce because they were reliable, they worked hard, they also worked cheap, and they really were the backbone of the Central Pacific.
You can say that they virtually moved mountains, and with very simple one-horse carts and a single driver, they actually created the whole roadbed in the Sierras.
It's estimated about 1,200 Chinese died while building the Central Pacific. Harsh weather and dangerous work conditions took their toll. To blast through the granite, black powder, nitroglycerin, and dynamite were used and set off by hand. 2 years ago at Stanford University, a research project was started on the Chinese railroad workers.
You know, there's a real legacy here at Stanford, of course, and that's part of why this project has really sort of taken off here at Stanford, because Leland Stanford, the money that he earned from the Transcontinental Railroad, he used that money to essentially establish the university.
One thing that impressed me the most about the Chinese workers on the railroad is how tough they were, how they worked under such difficult conditions in a foreign country, in climates that they were not used to, and they were, persistent. They continued working to accomplish an amazing task. Building the railroad across the Sierras was an engineering marvel.
At a rest stop off Interstate 80 near Lake Tahoe, there's a plaque on a boulder which commemorates the Chinese workers. But Stephen Lee is leading an effort to have something much larger built to honor their memory.
The Chinese railroad workers don't have anything but a rock, and I think it should be better than that. So I'm hoping that with this artist search we want to do, and we are going to invite artists to participate in the United States and overseas, and do an open call and see who would want to be a part of being chosen to put up a monument up there that represents something in our culture and also stimulates the education.
We hardly know the names of the individual railroad workers. They're just Chinese. And so I think a monument may help to trigger some inquisitiveness on the part of people who see the monument to say, what happened to those Chinese? Who were they? Where did they come from? Where did they go? Did they have families? And what happened to them after they worked on this railroad that helped build the American West?
So I want something visual to stimulate the younger generations, my nephews, when they go up to the snow, to see something like this and wonder, why is this here? And that's kind of the inspiration for me, why I'm trying to spearhead this project.
To make this a reality, Stephen's group is trying to raise $300,000. Plans are to have a design unveiled in 2015, the 150th anniversary of the first Chinese railroad workers being hired. Despite discrimination and all kinds of adversity, these men achieved one of the great feats in American history. A worthy memorial is long overdue.